Not every chosen one raises their voice. Not every warrior wears visible armor. There are those who walk in silence without making noise, but carry within them a strength that the world underestimates. These are the most reserved chosen ones. Those who prefer solitude to applause. Those who exchange exposure for withdrawal. And it is precisely there that the danger lies. Danger, not because they are threats to the world, but because they are uncontrollable by it. The reserved chosen one does not need to prove who they are. They know, they feel, they see more than they would like, carry more than they appear to, and speak only when necessary. In the noise of life, they remain silent. And while everyone rushes to be seen, they withdraw to understand, to discern, to calmly decide what to do. And when they do, no one is ready. This video is for you who feels out of place for not wanting to be in the midst of everyone, who has been called cold, strange, or distant when you were actually just preserving what is most valuable: your energy, your clarity, your sensitivity. The world wants you to speak more, appear more, react more. But your silence is your weapon. Your analysis is your defense. Your calm is just the surface. Today, you will understand why the most reserved chosen ones are the most dangerous. Not for what they do out of anger, but for what they do with awareness. They do not react. They calculate. They do not compete. They observe and, when necessary, act with precision. If this topic has touched something inside you, don't leave the video. It will make sense with every minute. And before continuing, a different request. If this message is speaking to you, follow this channel not just to support the content, but to walk alongside those who also carry that silent strength within themselves. Here, you do not have to explain yourself. You just need to remember who you are. There are people who talk too much. They try to fill every space with words, opinions, and arguments. But the most reserved chosen ones do not operate that way. They speak little because they see a lot. They don't need to dominate a conversation to understand everything that is happening. While the world rushes, they observe. While everyone tries to be heard, they choose to listen. And they do not just hear what is said. They pay attention to what is avoided, to the pauses, to the averted gazes, to the tone of voice that wavers. They notice what goes unnoticed by most. This is not about being smarter. It is sensitivity. It is a kind of wisdom that cannot be learned from books. It is something they were born with. A sharp perception, as if they have an invisible radar that picks up things no one else can see. And when they decide to act, they do not make noise. They do not get agitated. They do not shout. They act with precision. They know where to touch. They know what to say. And, more importantly, they know when it is the right time to do so. Many people confuse their reserved nature with passivity, but it is exactly the opposite. They are patient, not passive. They are observing, absorbing, analyzing everything. And when they realize that the moment has arrived, they do not hesitate. They do not warn anyone. They simply do what needs to be done. The difference lies in the intention. The chosen ones do not seek fights. They avoid unnecessary confrontations. But when something threatens what is right, what is correct, what is true, they stand up. And when they stand up, they do not back down. They know that not every fight is worth engaging in. But those that touch their deepest values, they do not ignore. Not out of pride, but out of awareness. Because they know there are times when silence becomes complicity, and they were not chosen to remain silent in the face of injustice. The impact of their actions is significant precisely because they are unexpected. No one expects someone so discreet to take the lead, but they do not act for status. They do it because they know that if they do not, no one else will do it with the same clarity and firmness. They do not need formal authority. They do not need titles. Their authority lies in the truth they carry, in the conviction they have, and in the courage to act when others hesitate. And when injustice is exposed, they do not look to the sides. They confront it. This silent courage is frightening, because it is unpredictable. They do not show anger. They do not react impulsively. But those who truly know them understand. When they are serious, it is definitive. They have no time for games. They do not back down under pressure. And they do not get intimidated by threats. Justice for them is not just a pretty idea. It is a commitment. Something they live by, even when no one is watching. They have an internal scale. And when that scale tips too far in one direction, they become the counterbalance. They do this naturally, because they were shaped for it. If a reserved chosen one has decided to intervene, it is because something has crossed the line. And when that line is broken, they do not seek revenge. They seek balance. They do not want to see anyone fall. They only want what is right to prevail. And what is right, for them, has absolute value. When looked at from the outside, a reserved chosen one seems too calm. They speak little and react even less. They do not show everything they feel. They seem distant, aloof, silent. But inside, a universe is happening. And those who do not pay attention do not perceive the strength that is being built within. This calm is not distraction. It is preparation. The moments of silence are the spaces where these chosen ones meet with themselves, where they process everything that has happened, everything they have seen, everything they have felt. While the world rushes, they take deep breaths. While everyone wears themselves out arguing, they reflect. And during this time, they strengthen their minds. They educate their hearts. They refine their own souls. The world judges noise as a synonym for power. But true strength does not need to shout. The spirit of a silent chosen one does not bend under pressure. It is shaped precisely in the pressures that would make others break, but instead, it makes them even more stable. They have gone through trials that few know about. They have endured alone moments that would have knocked many down. And they do not share this to impress anyone. They carry it in their gaze, in their posture, in the way they remain steadfast, even when everything seems to fall apart. This firmness is not pride. It is emotional resilience. They do not react to just anything. They do not engage in empty conflicts. But when something touches them deeply, that is where true strength emerges. And this strength is not visible to the eyes. It is perceived in their actions. The spirit of a reserved chosen one is unbeatable because it does not depend on approval. They have learned to walk alone when no one understood their process. They learned to be silent when they knew that explaining would be useless. They learned to trust God when everything seemed lost. And this made them unbreakable inside. They know that losing control is easy. That is why they do not give their feelings to just anyone. They know that shouting relieves for a moment, but maintaining peace requires more courage. And this peace, cultivated through effort, becomes a shield. It protects the soul. It strengthens faith. Do not underestimate the quietness of these chosen ones. It is not weakness. It is mastery. It is clarity. It is wisdom. They have understood that too much noise confuses, that too much rushing tires one out, and that some battles are won with silence, prayer, and direction. The most reserved chosen ones do not connect with just anyone. They are not in a hurry to make friends. They observe first, feel, analyze. Only then do they allow themselves to create a bond. For them, connection is serious business. It is energy exchanged. It is trust placed. That is why their ties are not numerous, but they are deep. They do not want to be surrounded by people just to avoid feeling alone. They prefer their own company to mixing with shallow individuals. They cannot stand forced relationships, empty conversations, or a presence that drains instead of adds. If they are close, it is because they care to be. When they decide to open their hearts, they do so genuinely, without masks, without games. They give themselves completely, even if they do not say it in words. And if they trust someone, they protect them with all their might. Loyalty, for them, is not a choice. It is essence. These bonds they create withstand time. They overcome crises. They endure distance. Because they are based on truth. They are not interested in relationships that change with the wind. They prefer to have few by their side, as long as they are real. And precisely because they are so selective, the alliances they create are almost unbreakable. If you have a reserved, chosen one as an ally, know that you have a treasure. They will be with you in the battles that no one sees. They will defend you even when they are not present. They will guard what you say as if it were their own. These bonds do not form quickly, but when they do, they last forever. A chosen, reserved one does not promise loyalty with words. He shows it through actions. He may take time to trust, but when he does, he truly commits. He is not one for half measures. Either he is with you, or he is not. And if he is, he will go all the way. This loyalty is silent but powerful. He does not need to flaunt himself as someone faithful. He just is. And when you least expect it, he will be there, steadfast, even if everyone else has left. Even if you think you don't deserve it. Even if you don't even know how to ask for help. He will show up, because he feels when it is needed. But the same loyalty that protects can also turn into a sword. If someone betrays his trust, you will not see an explosion of rage. You will see a cold, silent, definitive withdrawal. He does not shout, does not make a scene, does not demand anything. He simply retreats, and when that happens, he rarely returns. The pain of betrayal for him is not just personal. It is spiritual. It's as if something inside him breaks, because he does not offer trust lightly. He values each bond as something sacred, and when that is broken, something changes forever. And if the chosen, reserved one realizes that you have harmed an innocent person or done wrong to someone he protects, then you will indeed see the sword. Not physical, not violent, but precise. He will act with justice. He will say what needs to be said. He will bring light where there was darkness. And the most impactful thing is that he does not do this with hatred. He does it with conviction, with strategic coldness, because he knows the right moment to take a stand. And when he does, everything changes. Because his word carries weight. His presence has impact. His decision does not turn back. This loyalty is one of the greatest strengths he carries. He defends those he loves, keeps secrets with honor, and even when disappointed, he prefers to stay silent rather than expose someone. But if necessary, he acts. He acts with firmness, with clarity, and without fear. Having such a chosen one by your side is a blessing. But losing him to injustice is something you will never forget, because no one protects like he does, and no one reacts with such precision when betrayed. The chosen reserved one does not speak just for the sake of speaking. He weighs each word. He carefully chooses what he says, when he says it, and to whom he says it, because he knows that words have energy, weight, and destiny. And when he decides to open his mouth, it's because the soul has already spoken first. Those who live in silence learn to respect the power of speech. Many think he has no opinion, that he is indifferent. But it is exactly the opposite. He is constantly processing everything. And when he decides to speak, the impact is not in the volume of the voice, but in the precision of the message. It's like an accurate arrow. It cuts through the noise and touches what needs to be touched. Sometimes he remains silent in situations where everyone talks too much, not because he has nothing to say, but because he knows that not every situation deserves a response. Sometimes silence is the best answer someone can receive, and he knows this like few others. But when he speaks, the atmosphere changes. People stop. They pay attention, because they know it's not common. He does not speak to please. He speaks because it is necessary, because there is something inside him that can no longer be kept inside. And when that happens, his words cut through what is false and reveal what was hidden. He does not need to be aggressive. He does not need to impose himself. The strength lies in the truth he carries. And truth, when spoken by someone who rarely talks, carries a weight that is hard to ignore. He also knows when to use words that heal. He is not the one who constantly dispenses advice. But when someone is broken, he knows what to say. And he says it with such simplicity that the other's soul recognizes that something different exists there. Something that did not come from the mind, but from the spirit. Each of his silences is full of intention. Sometimes it is a silence of protection. Other times, it's one of observation. And many times, it's one of wisdom. Because talking too much can push others away, but well-placed silence brings closer, reveals, connects. He also understands that words can build or destroy. That is why he prefers to remain silent when he is hurt. He knows that words spoken in pain can cause damage, so he steps back, breathes, waits for the right moment. And when he returns, his words come purified by reflection. In times of crisis, when everyone is lost in opinions, he tends to say a few phrases. But they are the ones that bring clarity. While many scream their insecurities, he expresses his certainty in a few syllables. It is not easy to deal with someone like this, because you never know if he is just listening or seeing beyond. And the most surprising thing, sometimes he has already understood everything but chooses not to say anything. He does not need to show that he knows. He only uses what he knows when it is truly necessary. The words of the chosen reserved one are not meant to convince. They are meant to transform. They do not enter through the ear. They enter through the soul, because they were conceived in silence, refined in pain, and launched with purpose. This is the type of person who, with a single phrase, can change the course of a conversation, the direction of a life, or the atmosphere of a setting. Some people live distracted. They go through the day without noticing details, ignore expressions, and do not see beyond what is said. But with the chosen reserved ones, it is different. They know more than they show. They know things that no one taught them. They know without asking. They know simply by feeling. It's as if they have eyes that see through appearances. While everyone gets lost in words, they decipher gestures. They read the unsaid. They notice when the smile is forced, when the embrace is fake, when the atmosphere is heavy. They feel the weight of energy, even without seeing anything concrete. They know when someone is lying, even if the lie is well told. They know when someone pretends to be okay, even with flawless makeup. They know when a situation is about to go wrong, even if everything seems fine on the outside. And the most impressive thing, they rarely get it wrong. It is not a gift of divination. It is refined sensitivity. They observe all the time. They compare words with actions. They listen to what you say and what you avoid saying. Every detail is stored. Every inconsistency is perceived. And while you think they are distracted, they have already understood everything. Many cannot stand this type of presence. They feel exposed, even without anything being said. It's as if the mere presence of the chosen one reveals what was hidden, because he sees beyond what the world shows. This perception generates discomfort in some, respect in others. But it always has an impact. The chosen reserved ones are not gossipers or curious. They do not seek to know more. They simply receive information through spiritual sensitivity. It's as if the heavens whisper certain truths in their ear, even without them asking. That is why they disturb so much, because they carry a truth that many try to hide. And even knowing all this, they do not go around throwing it in people's faces. They keep it, they analyze it, and they only use that knowledge if it is truly necessary. Their knowing is not vanity. It is a tool for protection and guidance. They know who is real and who is merely acting. They know whom to trust. They know when to distance themselves, even without a logical explanation. And almost always, when they distance themselves from someone, it is because they have already felt what was to come. They are not deceived by appearances. At times they pretend not to know. They choose silence instead of confrontation, because not everything needs to be said. Not every mistake needs to be exposed. But if you insist on testing these chosen ones, you will discover that they were aware of everything from the beginning. That is why they do not like false environments. They feel suffocated where there is dissimulation, because they absorb what no one says. They do not need to hear, they perceive. And this can be a blessing or a burden. It is not always easy to know so much. Sometimes all they want is to rest their minds. But even in silence, they continue to pick up on things. They continue to see. They continue to feel. That is why they value solitude so much. Isolation is not escape. It is protection. This knowledge they carry is what prepares them to guide others, because only those who see clearly can point the way. Only those who understand the invisible can advise with depth. And the silent chosen do this masterfully. They know more than they should, but they do not boast about it. They know more than they need to, but they never throw it in anyone's face. They know too much, and still they remain silent. This is wisdom. This is humility. This is a rare kind of spiritual intelligence, and this is what makes them dangerous to those who live in lies. Because a chosen one who sees with the eyes of the soul acts with precision, and when the right moment comes, no one can hide from the truth they carry. Never underestimate a chosen one who loves silence. Most believe that those who speak loudly have more power, that those who impose themselves are the leaders. But the true chosen ones do not need a stage or approval. They walk against the flow of the world, quiet but aware, reserved but attentive, invisible to many but visible to God. Their power is not in dominating conversations, but in dominating themselves. They know their own pains, recognize their shadows, and still stand firm. Not because they have never fallen, but because they have learned to get up in silence without relying on applause. The world sees silence as weakness, but in truth, it is in this silence that the chosen ones grow the most. It is where they receive instructions, where they reorganize their thoughts, where they hear what heaven is saying. Their silence is a shout to those who know how to listen. A shout of strength, of clarity, of mastery. These chosen ones are dangerous, not out of malice, but because they cannot be controlled. They do not sell themselves. They do not bend. They do not get easily distracted. They are guided by a sense of truth that does not change with others' opinions. If you are one of these, or know someone like this, share in the comments an experience where silence spoke louder. A situation where you, or another chosen one, acted with firmness, even without needing to shout. Your story may open the eyes of someone who still doesn't understand this type of strength. And if this message touched something inside you, share this video. Help other chosen ones understand that not every silence is absence. Sometimes, it is exactly the opposite. It is total presence, pure discernment, invisible power in action. Your experience can be light for another chosen one. And here, on this channel, every story matters. Here you are not alone. Here, you are understood.